We'll try it again, huh? I asked Renee, I said, you go through there and pick out 2 songs. Of course, she picked out 2 I ain't sang 2 years. So I'm sitting there, didn't wake up from my nap till 5 o'clock. I'm sitting there trying to, see if I can remember them. And of course, I can't. But you know it's all good because God's in it. Well, there are some people who say we cannot tell whether we are saved or whether all is well. They say that we can only hope and pray that it is so. Well, but I was there when it happened, and so I guess I ought to know. I know that Jesus saved me. My heavy burdens, Lord, He gave me peace within. Well, Satan can't make me doubt it. It's real and I'm gonna shout it. I was there when it happened, so I guess I ought to know. I don't care who tells me salvation is not real. Though the world may argue that we cannot feel the heavy burdens lifted and the vile sins go. But I was there when it happened, so I guess I ought to know. When Jesus saved me, the very moment He forgave me, He took away my heavy burdens, Lord, He gave me peace within. Well, Satan can't make me doubt it. It's real and I'm gonna shout it. I was there when it happened, and so I guess I ought to know. Why me, Lord? What have I ever done to deserve even one of the pleasures I've known? Tell me, Lord, what did I ever do that was worth loving you? For the kindness you've shown. Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. But now that I know that I've needed, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hands. Well, tell me, Lord, if you think there's a way I can try to repay all the kindness you've shown. And maybe, Lord, I can show someone else what I've been through myself. my way back to you. So Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it. So help me, Jesus, I know what I am. And now that I know that I've needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hand. Jesus, my soul's in your hand.
Well, good evening, everybody. I had asked the mission group to be ready to share tonight. So if you went on the mission last week, I want you to come on up. Not all at once. We had a pretty good group that went. And I'll kick it over to Mr. Brian. Yeah, I'll let him get things started. But I just ask if you have something you'd like to share from this week, or something that touched you, that God blessed with, then you all just come up and share that with the church. I know that they've been praying for us, and I know that they'd love to hear from you all, especially change it up, not have to hear from me. So, Brian, go right ahead.
Hard of hearing you yet. So 22 times I've stood here returning from a summer mission trip, and a lot of times I've stood here and said, this is the best one we've been on yet. This is not the best one we've been on. I'll go ahead and tell you that. It's hot, and it was hard, and I'll just tell you, these guys that are carpenters and know what they're doing, they make it look easy. But last year, Charlie Goodman reached out to us to put a roof on their chapel and the administrative offices. And there's a huge misconception when you pull up to Clear Creek. You look and you think the round building with the steeple is their chapel, and it's not. It's classrooms. And they've just remodeled their chapel this past summer, or this past winter, and it's unreal how nice, and so they wanted to put a new roof on it. And of course, I reached out to Mr. Anderson and said they want to put a metal roof on this, and he says, okay. And so then we started the ball to rolling, talking about when, we'd be there as soon as Bible school was over here. Typically, that's when we leave. And I've got no lies to tell you. When we started really getting measurements and details, Terry said, you better find us some help. And I reached out to them and told them, we need some help. And Ryan, of course, reached out to the director of missions locally there, 2 different Baptist associations, and not one of them showed up. None of them. And so we were like, okay, we'll do with what you got, And so we got there switching from Victory Baptist Church in RJ to East Jellicoe. And we went there last Sunday morning, and it was a shocker for us as a group, because we're used to getting there and, being excited about Bible school. And that was not the case, really, as a whole. Their pastor had already scheduled his anniversary cruise way before this, and he wasn't there. And so that wasn't, I mean, I understand being married and having an anniversary cruise scheduled. That's not a big deal that he wasn't there because he had prior obligations. But we get there and we go to Sunday school, and our men are the only men in that church for Sunday school. That was a shocker to us because we expected, their men to be there. Well, they had about, 7 or 8 second shifters, I guess, showed up for preaching. They just didn't come to Sunday school. And all of them were, except one was 80, I guess. Pretty close. It is upper 70s anyway. And so we had a lady that really shocked us during Sunday school. And I'm not trying to throw her under the bus, but we was like, yeah, we're excited about Bible school tonight. And she said, not me. Served my time. Tennessee's playing baseball, and I'm going to watch him. I'm not coming. And we're just floored. I mean, we was in Sunday school thinking, what have we got ourselves into? Because it's different. But the ones that were there for Bible school were really excited, and they were wanting to do something. This church had been averaging about 70-something people there until COVID hit. And it just was devastating to them. Now, I guess 15, 20 at the most. But the ones that are there are excited. The younger ones are there and excited and want to see their church grow. So it challenged us throughout the week. I didn't go to Bible school one night because every night when it cooled off enough to get back on that roof, they had to have somebody short, fat, and ugly to stand on the ground and hand them stuff because I ain't getting on that roof. And so I want to say thank you for the opportunities. We're going back again next year. I'll go ahead and tell you that. Hopefully, haven't been up there and give everybody the crud. Jody's sick. Julie can't talk. And I guess maybe they caught that from me. But I just want to say thank you. And there's plenty of work to do here, 2 hours away, 20 hours away. God's got plenty of work for us to do. It's high time we all get busy. So if you're not, this is going to be my last thing. If you're not working, you're retired, whatever, and you ain't got no cows to feed or milk, plan on going on a mission trip. It's a great opportunity for you. Thank you.
I guess I'll get up here before the rush comes. Hurry up. Yeah, it's always good going on a mission trip, and there's so many things. It was hot, and I don't know if I've seen so much tin in my life on one trailer, but we got it all pulled off. Everybody joined together and got it done, and thank God for that. So nobody got hurt, and one of the things that I remember on this trip, as we was there doing VBS and stuff, I think it was me and Kenny and Jody was downstairs and kind of looking at pictures on the wall and stuff, kind of just looking at the church, and 2 ladies came up to us and said, I need you to pray. We got to have an answer by 12 o'clock tonight, and we need somebody to pray. And we just got right there in the hallway of the church, and we grabbed hands and we went to praying, and she didn't tell us what it was about or, who it was about or anything. And, of course, it really didn't matter. But we just went to praying right there in the church hallway that God would intervene and take care of this. And, it went, I think it was 2 days after we did that, we was kind of thinking, well, I don't know what we was prayed about, but we hope it come to pass. She's still here, so it must not have been about her, And we was kind of wondering, and she finally told us, and what it was, and God answered at 10 o'clock at night. And, I'm thinking, God's still in prayer answering business. It don't matter what it is, and he wants to know. And so, God's still doing great things. And, one soul was saved up there. And then, like we said many times, it was definitely worth it just to see one soul saved and what God can do. and I think he used this very efficiently and got a lot accomplished for his honor and his glory, and we may never know what comes from this, but I just thank you, church.
Church, I'd like to say that I was thankful to have the opportunity to go, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you I enjoyed every minute of it. I didn't. That was a job. And I'll just tell you, Brian sent out some pictures a while back, and I think the question was, what's this look like? And I immediately said, oh, that's easy. Well, we got a picture of the little old hip off the back of the building. I had no idea it was 211 foot long. So it was a pretty tough job, but that's just in a hard day's work. It was just a grind all day, every day. But, I was sitting there one time and I was looking around, and I've worked a lot of days in my life, the same as you all have. But boy, there's something special when you look up and you know everybody you're with is your brothers in Christ. That made it worth it. Now, we just grewed right through it, and these men worked and got it done. You learn a lot about people, the kids. Kids kept us entertained. They, kept us busy. Casey kept us entertained. They had a piano in the cafeteria, and he played it, and Skylar would dance. And that, you know how that went. These kids, all I ever seen them doing was eating. I thought, I don't know if they can afford these kids. But I really enjoyed it. It was some long days, it sure enough was. But I'll tell you the highlight of it all. And like these men said, there wasn't many men too active in that church. And I remember, they said there was a time here they was praying for men. Buddy Gagan has brought that to our attention before, this very church. Praying for men to come here and join this church and be a part of this congregation. So we need to pray for them. There's a lot of little churches in them hills in that part of the country. But the highlight of it all was me and Amy taught the 13 to 18. And the first night we was all there. Now the second night, a lot of us men didn't go, and I'll tell you why. We were struck with fear that we couldn't get this job done that we agreed to do. So they started working late. I walked off the job at 15 after 7 Monday night. I don't know what time they left, but everybody was wrapping up. But there was just something kept pricking at me. You need to go to church today on Tuesday. You need to go. Amy taught that night by herself. And I said, I was just bothered all day long, but I have to go tonight. So we went to church, and we got in there, and we was teaching away, and there was a 9 in there. Was there 9 in there, Amy, or 8? There was 9 in there that night. And we got done with the lesson, and the little old boy named A.J. Adams, he's a little old feller. He was of short stature. He's 13, wore glasses. And he come over and said, I need to talk to you all after it was over, and they was heading out. I said, well, all right, what do you want to talk about? And he said, I'm not saved. And we said, well, would you like to get saved? And he said, I would. And let me tell you how real this little guy got with it. We opened up the Bible right there, and we opened up Romans in chapter 10, and we was reading that to him, and we said, now, AJ, right here is what you have to say. And I told him, I want this to be real for you. And if I ever have opportunity to lead somebody to the Lord, I focus on that one point. Now, this is going to be real, and no one will ever take this away from you, and you will know that this moment was real and it really happened. So you do it. And he got down there on his little knees, and he put his hands together, and the tears was rolling out of a 13-year-old boy. And he was crying. And we was telling him what to say, and he was shaking his head, and he said, I can't remember that. I'm not going to remember that. So we led him through it, and the little fella got saved. And the story goes on. Me and Amy hugged him up and loved him up and told him we were proud of him. Well, he took off, just like a normal little boy's going to do. And we all went down in that basement, and there's a hallway down through there. And the first lady I seen, I thought, well, I need to tell, the church members. And I stopped by her and I said, I need to tell you something. I said, there's a little boy that came here tonight named A.J. Adams, got saved. And she immediately broke out crying. Well, little did I know that was his grandmother. And she said, it rattled her. And thank God it did. She knows the meaning of salvation. And she went on to tell me, well, he's been through a lot. And she said, a year and a half ago, his little 3-year-old brother got shot in the heart with a pellet gun and died. And she told me a few more things about him, and I'm not even going to speak out. So remember, a little boy named A.J. Adams. You pray for him tonight. Thank you so much, church.
I thank you, church, for praying. Every year I go, somehow I end up with a paintbrush in my hand. I have a paint crew, Katie, Carol, Holly, Julia, and every time when I could catch Casey when he was running through, I'd throw a paintbrush in his hand. We've painted houses in the past. This year we painted the pool room and then the school, the store. And I thought about it. Ryan has a vision, not just using that for the students that go to Clear Creek. He has a vision of opening up to the community. He wants to do upward, to share Jesus. So I'll paint every time, every year. Every year I say, I don't know if I can do it again. I will, because that's where God wants me. So I thank you. I thank my crew, and I love you all.
I work pretty hard. I shoe horses for a living and then do some construction work and stuff. So I work pretty hard. But this week up there, Terry and Brian, they worked me like a dog. I was sore from the back of my knees up to the top of my bottom on both sides. It was rough. But but I enjoyed every minute. It wasn't like when I'm out there. I sent Brian some pictures on Thursday and Friday. Horses was rough on me. I was out there shoeing, sweating, hating every minute of it. But when I was up there on that roof with these guys, it was enjoyable. I enjoyed every minute of it. We ain't been here at this church long, but you learn, like somebody said already, you learn a lot about them when you're working beside them. I was impressed by everybody, but, of course, you look up to your pastor. So when he got up there Monday, he jumped in there and we about had to make him, he about fell off the roof a few times. We had to get onto him, stepping in places he wasn't supposed to be stepping and stuff, and I couldn't even make myself not get onto him because he's my pastor. But you just learn a lot about people, and I didn't see nobody, like everybody, all the guys have said, it was rough work, but nobody was like talking bad about it or anything. We was just all worried about getting the job done, and like I say, it was rough, but I enjoyed every minute of it. And these ladies, oh man, they fed us like we was out. I didn't get to go to the restaurant that week, but we ate good. They took really good care of us. Everybody up there, and I just really enjoyed it and appreciate you letting me go.
If you ever get to go on one of these trips, you go looking to give someone a blessing, and you end up being the one that gets the blessing. it was, as everyone on mentioned, as far as the work, it was hard work. And when you're not used to being out there, it's tough, and I tried to hang in there with them best I could, not to show any weakness, but boy, howdy, the heat and stuff, it was, but the most blessing, Sunday, when we first got up there, and we had the full service. Like they said, the pastor was gone on vacation, and little we know we was going to be doing the entire service. And Mo, he never ceased to amaze me and the blessing that he gives me from his songs. And his voice just filled that church. It was just, and knowing he's one of ours, he's our guy, and then Lord Casey gets up and plays. And man, what a blessing. It blesses your heart. When you start looking at all that, the hard work, it don't seem to be hard at all. You see all the good things that's happening, and seeing our crew get in and just doing things for the Lord. And it just, it just blesses your heart in such a way. And I loved every minute of it. Our pastor, he knows how to work. We was on a crew, me, Keith, and Evan, and we tried to stay ahead of these boys with the 10, and it was tough, wasn't it, Gay? But we managed. But I do it. The women, oh my goodness, they cooked. It was wonderful, wonderful. And accommodations where we stayed was good. And so I do. If you ever have an opportunity to go, you'll surely get a blessing out of it. Now, thank you, church.
Good evening, church. I just want to say a few words about our younger members of our team. These girls did an amazing job painting. And, my husband says that I'm not a painter. He doesn't let me paint at home. But when you do it for Jesus, he does miracles. They didn't fire me on the team, so I think I did okay. But these girls, they were working hard. And also on Thursday, when we had family night, we realized that we don't have music because Mo was going to help finishing roof. So they stepped in and they signed and they sang. Caroline has a beautiful voice. She sang, and my girls sang, and Scholar did, and Casey played, and and it was the real blessings that everybody, even after working hard, was willing to do even a little more. And it was the best part for me. It was a blessing. So thank you, church.
As Brian said, they sent us that picture of the drawing of the building, had the measurements on it, and I don't know what tape measure they use in Kentucky, but every bit of it was 2 inches too long, and so we had to cut about every piece of it. That didn't help nothing, but anyway, I hadn't paid that much attention. I didn't even really realize what building that I knew what building we were doing, but I didn't realize it was that big until I went to looking at the picture, and that was about a week and a half before I had to order the metal, or before we left, and I thought, we're in trouble. But I'm gonna tell you, this workers bunch I've been around my life. It wasn't easy. I told them, I said, them boys, I had a guy that I thought I might call and have him come help us, or my whole crew I might have come help us by Friday. Jonah called, and finally he said, I'm coming. I said, will you come? He said, I'll be our Monday, Tuesday. And I said, you come to end of the week, because we're gonna be tired by the end of the week. So we got a little help the first of the week. You come to the end of the week. So he did, and that helped a whole lot. But I thought that roof was probably a 3 or 4 12 pitch, and it's about a 5 12 on the front and a 6 on the back. And usually you don't stand on 6 12 pitch metal too good if it gets a little dusty or anything. And I guess the good Lord kept it clean. We didn't have a minute's trouble walking on that or doing nothing. And it didn't dawn on me. I don't know if y'all know the whole story about the pavilion last year. I don't know if that whole story got shared or not, but they were there year before last and prayed for a pavilion. And so Brian called me, and they got in a big circle out in this field, and he called me and said, they want us to come build a building. And I said, well, what size? And he said, all right, about a 40 by 100. And they had just dropped off some truss on the job that I had that was a 50-foot truss, and they were supposed to be 55, and they was the wrong truss. And we had to drag them up a hill with 2 machines because couldn't get the truck up there. I knew they never was going to come get them. And I said, well, how about a 50 by 70? And he said, well, I guess that'll work. So the Lord furnished the truss off of the job down there. I went to the metal place, and good Christian guy owns the metal place, and I said, I need a little help on some metal. And he said, okay. I said, you ever heard of Clear Creek Bible College? He said, well, yeah, I went to school there. I didn't have no idea he went to school there. So anyway, he gave us a real deal on the metal, and I called him back this year, and he gave us another real deal on the metal, saved him some money. But what got my attention this year is because I was looking at that roof because there's a different pitch, and I was telling Randy and Charlie this morning, and that set of truss that I took up there, I backed up and looked, and I said, it's the exact same pitch as the front of this other building. It kind of sets lined up with the front of this other building, and I thought, you know, it's kind of strange because I probably built 2 buildings in the last 10 years that had a 5 12 pitch on them, and the pavilion that we had built was a 5 12 pitch roof that they built the wrong trusses for. And it matched perfect to the other building. I didn't even notice that till I got up there this year, and we got to looking at it. And I just thought, the Lord just keeps showing me stuff about, doing that, and just a blessing to me. And like I said, it was a privilege to work with all these people. And for what we got done, I kind of figured up, if you laid all them pieces out, end to end, it's about a mile long what all we put on up there. So it was a pretty good task. And like they said, we Baptists, so we definitely going to eat good. But I just asked you to pray for that church where they went and done the Bible school. There's a few people there want to see something done, and the Lord can do it. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm so thankful that I got to go. We had a really good time. I was on the cooking team. Melissa probably wants to fire me every year. She always has to teach me stuff. But like I think everybody's already said, just pray for that church. It was such an eye-opening experience at just, I guess Joe said it perfect, when we were talking about one night, just how being lukewarm and how the Bible warns us against that. So just pray for that church. We had a great time. I asked Joe every evening how many fights did you get in today? And he always said none. So I thought that was always pretty good that they do all that work and didn't get any fights. So, but just pray for that church. Pray for the school. They do a great mission there throughout the community. Pray for Ryan. I had a great time. Julia and I had, what grade? 5 to 8-year-olds. So I wasn't really used to that age. They were a little bit younger than I was used to, but they were fun. We had a good time. So I just thank you, church.
I just want to thank the church for the opportunity to go, and the church helping with finances and sending us up there, and it's just such a blessing. And I just got to say, I think I heard Joe mention it one day, and I don't believe I'm by myself, but that first day, Monday, when we got done that evening, I looked around and I thought, Lord, we ain't never going to get done with this week. There was just a lot to do. And the way the metal come in on the trailer, we had to start on the easy part, and that's, most of the time that's not what you do. You want to get the hard stuff done first, but it's just the way they had the metal stacked. But that second day, we got up there and it was like everybody just fell into place. They knew what they needed to do, and then boys got ahead of us with the underlayment and got it laid down, and we come behind them and laid the tin down, and it just clicked and went great. It was just amazing how it worked out. I regret I didn't get to go to Vacation Bible School up there. I went Sunday and that, but I'm grateful that I was able to help. It's just a blessing to be around these folks and to be part of this. And y'all pardon my language, but about that third morning, I can't remember I got up, it's all I could do to get out of the bed. I said, even my buttocks are hurting. I mean, I was so sore from standing on that metal. I got home Friday night, and Renee's like, what's wrong with your ankles? And I hadn't even noticed my whole ankles was swollen up and everything. But all that's gone, and it's just, I thank God that I am able to still do that, to do this. Because I'm not by no means an old man, but I'm not a young man either. And just the way I used to live my life, I shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't even be on this earth. And God saw fit to show me grace and mercy and let me be able to be involved in stuff like this. And I thank Him so much for it. It's just a blessing, and I am very blessed to have this church for a family. Thanks.
So let me make it clear, when they say there's a few adults there was 4 for Bible school. And every night I would say, I thank our church so much that they volunteer and help with Bible school. You think you're missing 1 or 2, or this, you don't have somebody to do this one, or somebody do that. They didn't have nobody to do anything but snacks. That was it. If it wasn't for the people that went, they wouldn't have had Bible school at all. There was one lady that attended the adult class, Monique, and then there was Mindy, which is the Bible school director, and 2 other ladies. And, I said something to them about having helpers, and she was so discouraged with her church because they did have 17 people there, but the 17 people didn't find it needy to come. And, and I told them, I said, even if our people doesn't help, they come for support. They come to class. They come to see if we need any help. And, you don't know how much of a blessing that is until you don't have anyone. And Julie, she went. There was some more people that went that's not up here. But our numbers are way down from who usually goes. And if you can't get up on the roof, that's okay. Because there's always something to do, or you can wait till Bible school, and there's something for you to do at Bible school. Because like they said, there's nobody there to help, nobody there to talk to the kids. And a lot of the kids, when you start to tell them what we think everybody already knows about Noah and all those little stories, a lot of them didn't know those stories. A lot of them had never even heard any of those. So it's such a blessing to have such a good church family that volunteers and helps, or even steps in, just like Holly and Caroline. They don't go to church here. They've been here a time or 2, but they stepped up and they helped with classes as well. If some of the men couldn't come and do their classes, they stepped up and done their classes, and that was such a blessing. And, Julie, if she watched all the little kids, and so, she probably had one of the biggest jobs, and she probably felt like she didn't do nothing. But if we didn't have somebody to watch the little kids, they sure wouldn't have got no roof done, because they'd been hanging off the roof. And Gabe, I drove by one day going to where we eat at, and he was coming off that roof with a handload of stuff, and I said, you got to get down. You can't be walking up down through there like that. He did scare me as well. But they worked really hard, and we got to teach Julia what a powwow was, because I said the men take a lot of powwows because it's so hot. So we got to teach her what a powwow was, and it's such a blessing to get to know each and every one personally, and just to see how people do and step out for Jesus. And the kids doing the painting and all that. I mean, not one time did you hear them grumble or, say anything. They just went and done it, which I told them they could do it at my house when they got home, but I ain't heard nothing about that yet. But just pray for us and pray for that church, and pray our team gets bigger. Because even like I said, even if you can't do something, you can come for moral support. Come and hand drinks, or, there's always something for you to do.
I forgot something. Skylar, come here. They used to call me Mo. What's my name now?
Walter.
She come up to me the other day, she said, you don't look like a Mo, you're Walter. And she called me Walter the whole time we was up there.
I guess I'm not tall enough to get up there. Well, back in April or May, I think it was May, Brian started, it was a brotherhood meeting, and Brian started talking about the mission trip. And he got to talking, and he said we wouldn't be going to Victory Baptist Church. And Mom and me, we both love Victory, so that was a slap in the face for both of us. But we signed up anyway, because she started saying, I'm waiting from a clear call from God. I said, you've already had a clear call from God. He said, go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. So we went, and it was just like Victory Baptist Church. Got another thing I want to mention. We got there the first day, and we went to the church, and we started talking, and they said I could play the piano. And I looked at their hymnals. They didn't have church hymnals. They had Baptist hymnals. So I had to play what I could remember. So I played that He Lives in Amazing Grace. And then family night came around. And then Julie wanted me to play, so I played Amazing Grace again. Then he gave me the privilege to play the invitation. So I got one of their Baptist hymnals out, and I got to look at it, and I found Jesus paid it all. With the encouragement from Gabe, I managed to play it.
Anybody else? I'm going to go right here. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Hey, if Shay tells you that somebody said in this group that you have no reason for dirty gutters, that you can clean yourself, Joe Barr told me.
Yeah. Last year, he shot a nail gun in his hand. This year, our number one objective was to not get Gabe hurt. And it was several times throughout the week, he's on the roof, and don't get Gabe hurt. Protect the preacher. Don't get Gabe hurt. So Shay, we've tried to protect him all week long. But just know this, he can hook up and clean your gutters out. He's not scared to get on the roof.
Yeah. Oh, boy. It does my heart good to be able to go up and work alongside and help. These guys, they served the Lord well, and they served Union McMinn well. There was a moment where I sat back and said, what have I got myself into? Everything went as it should. That's the only way I know to describe it. They all stepped up in various capacities. And it'll bless your heart to be able to see it and to witness it. Yes, it was hot. But it's not as hot. It wasn't as hot then as it will be this week. So see, we got all right. I learned a little bit about roofing. One of the things is that I'm not called to be a roofer. They put up with me. Mo King chastised me a little bit. Kept stepping on the paper when I ought not have. That ain't got a stable in it, Gabe. Something I learned. But every age, regardless of how young or how old, it was a blessing for that young man to come to Jesus. And the reality is, we don't know what's going to happen in that chapel that they ain't got to worry about leaking. Because it has been. That's the reality. That roof's been leaking. And their crew's been trying to pitch this and patch that and get this and get that and just make it through. But this is a school that is trying to train men and women to serve Christ in our areas. And so it's an honor and a privilege. And a whole lot of them people that's going to go through that chapel, they ain't going to know who got up there and put up any metal. They ain't going to know about any slips or nicks or anything like that. But Christ does. And Christ set an example for us. I don't want to belabor or hold you any longer, but I want us to consider a verse in Luke chapter 2 and 49. I'm throwing a curveball to the sound crew, so it won't be on the screen. And he said unto them, this is Jesus speaking to his parents, Mary and his earthly father, Joseph. How is it that ye sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my Father's business? See, he had stayed back in town after they'd been up there celebrating the Passover. And he's just a young fella at this time. And he had hung around with the experts in the law, and he was in the temple complex, and he was asking questions and listening to what they had to say, and he was having conversation with these experts, the Son of God incarnate. His parents go about a day's journey, and they realize, we don't have our boy Jesus. So they turn around, they find him, and they're asking him. I mean, you can imagine. Where in the world have you been? What are you doing? And Jesus says, why are you looking everywhere for me? Don't you know I have to be about my Father's business? This week, I witnessed people being about their Father's business. Christ set an example and an expectation, even at such a young age. And we had young people step up. I watched them sing songs of praise, and I watched them worship, even as children, worship God in spirit and truth. And on Friday, when I looked around at lunchtime and realized we probably ain't got nobody to play an invitation tonight, or Thursday, when I get up there and after I get done preaching, what am I going to do? And I go to Ryan, and I'd already, admittedly, Casey, considered you. I go to Ryan. I said, Ryan, you got anybody you know of that's going to play an invitation, or they got a song they're going to pop in or anything? He said, we ain't got nothing. He said, what about Casey? I said, well, that's what I was already thinking. And so I go to Casey and I said, I need your help. He said, all right, I'll do it. He had no idea what I was asking him to do. He said, all right. I said, I need you to play the invitation tonight, Casey. And he said, I'll do it. All I told Casey was, it don't matter if a frog jumps on those piano strings. You just keep playing. I'll let you know when it's time to stop. And he got up at them keys, and he played. Whether they be young or whether they be old, they served the Lord. I watched individuals put themselves in positions that realistically they probably ought not have put themselves in because they wanted to serve Jesus. They wanted to be about their Father's business. And so God gets all the glory. He's blessed us richly here at Union McMinn Baptist Church. We've been blessed with resources, and that goes beyond monetary resources. That goes to the physical resources. That goes to the connections that we have. That goes to the people that can go. It goes far and wide as to how God's blessed us. And I honestly believe that God will continue to bless as long as we make it a priority to be about His business, to have Him as the priority, so that there'll not be a question. If somebody says, well, what are y'all doing? Well, why in the world are you wondering what I'm doing? Don't you know I got to be about my Father's business? That's a wonderful testimony for a church. And I love for it to continue to be the testimony of Union McMinn. I'm thankful for this church. I'm thankful for you all. I'm thankful for everybody that, even if you couldn't go and you were at home and you were praying for us, lifting us up, considering us, the way that you give, the way that you support, the way you want us to go back, all of that is greatly appreciated. And we're going to continue to need it. So let's continue to be about our Father's business. Amen? All right. So this is what I'm going to ask us to do. We're going to close out just a little bit different tonight. Like they mentioned, East Jellicoe is in, well, they're in a spot. It's quite tough. It's quite tough from the resources standpoint in a lot of ways. Ryan Martin has quite a ministry in front of him. He's just been recognized as a missionary by the Kentucky Baptist Convention. And he does have a vision for how to utilize that campus for more than just students. And he does work really hard. So what I would ask us to do is to come, everybody that can, come forward, and we're going to close out with altar prayer tonight. And I'd ask us to pray for this young man that got saved, AJ. I'd ask us to pray for East Jellicoe, that they'll see more individuals come to Christ. More of them young ones who heard those stories, and they said maybe they just went home with questions, and over the coming weeks, they'll ask their teacher, they'll ask their preacher. And they'll see more individuals come to Jesus. And lift up this church and pray that God would guide them, give them wisdom, give them strength, so that they can be about their Father's business as well. And lift up Ryan. He's got a lot of work ahead of him in a lot of ways. But God's been blessing his ministry for quite some time. And I believe God will continue to bless Ryan as he puts forth these efforts, because he's the one that we trust to help organize all this over in Kentucky. He makes those connections. He works with those churches. He works everything out, and he gets thrown quite a few curveballs. So I would ask that we come up and we pray tonight as a church. We offer God thanksgiving for what He has given to us and the way that He has blessed us, primarily in Christ. And then lift up these requests. I would encourage you also, as has already been mentioned, please be considering how you might be able to go or support next year's missions as we look towards serving Christ in 2025. And the places that He'll send us and the ways that we'll work, there's a lot of different things that you can do. It doesn't matter how old, doesn't matter how young. You can come. You can help and you can serve. Just be ready to be about your Father's business. He'll take care of it from there. So, Brian, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and take us to the Lord in prayer tonight. If you're curious about missions, you can get with Brother Allen, and he'll be happy to talk more with you. Thank you all for being here this evening. You are at liberty.